Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Konrad Gorliński and this is the news. A ban on housing evictions is set to expire today in New York City, ending a critical economic support put in place at the start of the pandemic and setting the stage for a possible rush by landlords to try to oust low-income renters. As many have not yet recovered from the economic crisis caused by the pandemic, tens of thousands of residents are expected to become homeless in the coming days. Police arrested demonstrators sitting in the middle of the street calling for the extension of the eviction moratorium and demanding rent relief near Bryant Park in Manhattan on Friday. New York instituted the eviction moratorium in March 2020, when it was the epicenter of the COVID-19 crisis in the United States, and extended it multiple times, even as a federal eviction ban and moratoriums in other states lapsed.
I am prepared to do whatever it takes to help protect my neighbors who are at most at risk of being homeless because the governor won't act to provide stronger tenant protections to tenants.
State and city officials expressed concern this week about the impact of ending the moratorium, estimating that 500,000 New Yorkers needed housing aid at a time when the fast-spreading Omicron variant continued to upend social and economic life.
Greedy landlord, he tried to evict me in 3 courts. Civil court, Supreme Court, and criminal court. Because he's trying to force me out of my place. He's such an evil old person. My apartment is only $100, and he want to take that, my comfort zone, away from me.
While many landlords may move immediately to evict tenants, Governor Kathy Hochul said this week that renters could effectively avoid eviction by applying for a rental relief program, even though the program has been depleted. Landlords have submitted 81,530 eviction filings in New York City since March 15, 2020, according to Princeton University's Eviction Lab, which has compiled data on 31 cities. And an underwater volcano off Tonga in the Pacific Ocean erupted this morning, triggering a tsunami that hit several South Pacific island nations. The largest waves were observed in Tonga's capital and the capital of American Samoa. The eruption at the underwater volcano caused a 1.2-meter tsunami, according to Australia's Bureau of Meteorology. The agency said it was continuing to monitor the situation, but no tsunami threat had been issued to the Australian mainland, islands, or territories. Fiji also issued a tsunami warning, urging residents to avoid the shorelines due to strong currents and dangerous waves. The tsunami threat continues, and sea level fluctuations and strong ocean currents pose hazards along beaches and harbors, it said. New Zealand's Emergency Management Agency issued an advisory on tsunami activity for its north and east coasts, with the areas expected to experience strong and unusual currents and unpredictable surges at the shore. A tsunami advisory was also issued for the Hawaiian Islands and the U.S. West Coast, where the waves measured from 40 to 70 centimeters. On Friday, the volcano sent ash, steam, and gas up to 20 kilometers into the air, Tonga's Geological Services said in a Facebook post. The ash cloud now has a radius of more than 250 kilometers. The eruption is expected to continue for weeks to come. Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic has been sent back to an immigration detention facility after the country's immigration minister canceled his visa. The world's tennis #1 is seeking a court ruling to stop his deportation and keep alive his bid for a record 21st major title at the Australian Open. Immigration Minister Alex Hawke decided to cancel the Serbian superstar's visa because his presence could foster opposition to COVID-19 vaccination in Australia. Court documents released after an initial hearing in the federal court on Saturday showed. It would be the second stint in detention for Djokovic, who spent his first 4 nights in Australia in detention before a judge freed him on Monday after finding a decision to cancel his visa on arrival had been unreasonable. Justice David O'Callaghan set a hearing on Djokovic's appeal for Sunday morning, with the question of whether it would be held before a single judge or a full court still to be determined. Djokovic's lawyers said on Friday they would argue deportation would only further fan anti-vaccine sentiment and would be as much a threat to disorder and public health as letting him stay and exempting him from Australia's requirement that all visitors be vaccinated. And finally, Germany has appointed its first ever government queer commissioner, charged with arguing for legislation that respects the needs of lesbian, gay, and queer people. The new commissioner, Sven Lehmann, a self-confessed campaigner for social and legal equality and justice, is excited and proud to be on the job and vows that he will spend a lot of effort on strengthening the LGBTQ movement in Poland, among other places. The 42-year-old, a member of parliament for the Greens, was given the title of Commissioner for the Acceptance of Sexual and Gender Diversity as part of the new Social Democrat Green Liberal coalition's plans for cultural modernization after last year's election ended 16 years of conservative-led rule. Germany has the reputation of being progressive on sexual equality, partly because of Berlin's century-old reputation as a haven for sexual liberalism. But it came late to marriage equality, only allowing same-sex marriages in 2017. My assumption is that the further we go in the context of equal rights, for example, the opening of marriage or visibility in the media and politics and so on, that this will likely prompt more knee-jerk reactions or antagonisms. Maybe people who then, for example, start spreading hate anonymously on the internet. I think this will be a minority. I think we have come very far in Germany, but not far enough. When I think about the fact that many young people, for example, are afraid to come out at school or in their sports clubs, then we haven't come far enough yet.
Dann sind wir noch nicht weit genug gekommen.
Lehmann argues that there are still laws that continue to discriminate against same-sex couples, naming Germany's Blood Donor and Transsexuals Act laws as just two of many. He argues there is a need for solidarity with the LGBTQ community in Poland and Hungary, praising the solidarity action at Germany's Euro 2020 soccer clash against Hungary. We still have a long way to go in Germany, but when I look at countries like Hungary or Poland, for example, who are right in Germany's neighborhood, where the state and the church really do agitate against minorities as part of their official program, where it is partly forbidden for people to adapt to the gender they identify with, so to speak, or to change their identity. Or, for example, in Russia, where it's forbidden to kiss in the street and there is a fear of being sent to prison for it. So we still have a lot to do internationally, and the solidarity with Hungary and with people in Hungary and those affected was really great, and I would like to see more of that.
War wirklich großartig und da wünsche ich mir mehr davon.
Across Germany, stadiums and public landmarks were illuminated during the Euro 2020 to protest a new law in Hungary, banning school materials deemed to promote homosexuality and gender change. As usual, thanks for joining us this evening. Please stick around for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and other programs. But from me, it's have a wonderful Saturday night.